Let me say something, right? I understand where you come from, dog, right? Yeah. Because there is two parts to self. Okay? You got your higher self and you got your lower self. You see? The lower self is the body. The higher self is the mind. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we allow our lower self to rule our higher self with our desire for lust, you know what I'm saying? And things like that. But you still have to know yourself first. Because if you don't know yourself, then you ain't gonna know what come after you. You got to know you first. The most important thing is knowing you. Once you take that step in life and you know who self is, nobody could change your thoughts and ideas about you. Because you know you.
That's it.
You understand? Just like with my brother. Nobody can come tell me about my brother. I know my brother. Why? Because I had a relationship with him. You know what I'm saying? Through self. Our self, Lord and Master. You know what I'm saying? So there is a higher self, the mind. You understand? You know? And you, as you continue to travel, you're going to see different things that the mind going to show you. That's a part of you. You may not understand it right now, but as years, months, and days to come, it will manifest itself. What self is. But there's a higher side and a lower self. You understand? The Egyptian taught that too. About the higher side. When you look at the Sphinx.
There you go.
Okay? You know what I'm saying? It has the head of a human and a body of an animal. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't conquer the animal in you, you're not going to reach your higher what? Self. Which is your mind.
Let me add on to that, because like you said, that's exactly, if you look at the animal part, if you have a dog and it's chilling, it's on all fours, it's tamed. That's the same thing that the Sphinx is doing. The man using his higher intelligence to control his lower nature. You know, right. You gotta learn, you know, and that's one of those things, you know, when we come to build or destroy. When you have those chances to make that decision, whether you're gonna build or destroy, or whether it's worth it to destroy. You know, is it gonna be, you know, this brother could be doing wrong, but is it worth striking him in the face and going to jail or something like that? Or you could find another solution. You know, that's a very, and I was going to build on that too, because I got that from the brother who I was taught by, Fakeem Allah, well, better known as Father Divine, and he spoke on that. That was one of the first things when we go talking about self. That's one of those things you hear that gives you that confidence to. Because like I said, it's teaching you how to think properly. A lot of times we go into this world like acting on emotion and just action. But if you can control yourself to make a better solution, that's going to help not only you live another day, but hopefully make this brother or this sister or whatever situation you in better. That's using your higher intelligence. You learning, you knowing how to build help you destroy that thing in a very non-confrontational way. You know what I'm saying? So
or you might confront it, but it might not be through physical words.
There you go.
Action.
There you go. You learn how to. That's what talk about things. That's why a lot of when you kids y'all get in a fight, you talk about it. After y'all talk about it, it wasn't over nothing.
Yeah, it wasn't even.
All right, let's go play basketball. You know, but you also got to know those people that you can talk to, and those people that you might have to take physical action. So like I said, it's always a mind process. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. We get taught that as well. We like to deal with things properly and civilized, but sometimes, talking may not always get to somebody, and sometimes you may get pushed to that, but you got to make sure it's the right thing to do at all times,
That's right.
To add on, and this is why conversations like this are necessary and needed. It all helps all of our understandings grow and develop to see things from different ways. So, to clarify, I personally don't like using terminology like higher self, because we have, in our lessons, we talk about separation, right? Self is a totality of everything, and everything needs to be taken care of. So at the end of the day, you can have all this knowledge, but if you're not taking care of your physical composition, you're going to weather away. Exactly. If it's not life, it's going to be death. If it's not emotion, it's frozen. Anything that's frozen is what? Death. So the understanding is we don't have to get caught up in knowledge and wisdom. Some brothers use certain words, and some brothers use other words. Some sisters use other words, but we have dialogue, like the God said, so we could all have a common agreement, which is mutual agreement, which is understanding. I understand what you're saying. You understand what I'm saying? Even we might be using different terminology.
That's equality, God.
Supreme equality.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, understanding, understood.
Yeah, there you go.
You got any more questions, God?
Well, I do, but I just wanted to add on when it comes to like the higher self and lower self, cause like there's no like it's not like you can't really like locate that. I'm saying like the higher self, lower self, like that's a state of mind. That's not like where you're gonna point to my mind. Okay, or am I gonna separate the top of my brain and the bottom of my brain?
Well, let me add on, God. You know, you talk about the signs of your desires, your
Well,
appetites, and your desires and your appetites usually come from your body.
Yeah,
you're
right.
saying, right? So in your mind, you say your brain. That's where your mind is received. Is received through the brain, right? So you know, like that's why I could identify with the signs of the higher self or the lower self. The lower self is like dealing with your appetites, and that's what separates us from like animals. And like they deal with the instinct. They deal with their appetite. They're chasing their appetite, right? Whereas we learn to put our appetite in order. Like the God was saying about the size of the Sphinx. It's like now keep that low, keep that tame, while the mind is keeping everything in order.
Yeah, you're right, and that's why they would call like the gut like the second brain, right? Because your stomach is gonna send signals to your brain about whatever food you want, and it's whatever signal's gonna be is like the last thing you ate. So if you've been eating cake all week, you want more cake. You know what I'm saying? It's just that simple. I'm saying so, and that's why I was saying where it's like, yeah, you can say that this is my lower brain, this is my higher brain, but it's still just one thing. You feel me? Because it only take an instant for this to send a signal to this, right? It's all connected. It's all one.
That's like addictive behavior.
Like whatever separation we have is the one that we create.
Addictive behavior, God.
So it's only lower because we see it as lower. I'm saying we give it that the denomination. I'm saying if we were in a society or in a culture where living out those lower instincts was the highest thing, it would be in reverse, right? So it's also about the mindset of who you're dealing with. I'm saying so when you come to this mindset and you're dealing with mathematics, we're all about making sure that the one is before the two, right? So we put in the knowledge first and then we applying it. I'm saying we apply things based off the facts. I'm saying the fact is it's just you in there. Ain't nobody else. I'm saying you gotta accept all parts of yourself, the good and the bad, to make it better.
The totality of everything.
I think the God went that on, yeah.
Yeah. Once again, it starts with self. As said, it starts with self. And what you say, lower self, that's that emotional plane that people deal with as far as feelings, lust, greed, all that other stuff, right? That really don't have no substance to it, because when a person deals with lust, they only looking at a woman's body. They're not seeing her mind. Vice versa. When a woman deals with lust, she ain't looking at that man's body. She looking at that man's. She ain't looking at his mind. She looking at his body, right?
Or his pockets.
Or his pocket. You understand what I'm saying? So it's levels to this physical shit, just like it's levels to the mental, right? And being in tune with it through intertwining, correlating, with
interacting.
Yeah, interacting.
And the study itself.
It comes right back to who?
Self.
And when you deal with self on that supreme level, that lower level cease to exist. Like we deal with elegance, intelligence, and the devil is irrelevant. It's real simple, girl. We make this shit complicated.
Yeah.
We make it complicated when we try to experiment with a lot of shit. Instead of just looking at the root, the dynamic, the essence of self. Everybody when a man died, when the physical composition decomposed, that's the end. No, it's not. That energy still existing. It just transformed. That's why one thing I know God can't do is die. He's subject to doing anything else
But that, I think not. But he's subject to doing anything else. Don't get it twisted. Since the heavens and the earth below, all up above is caused by the Son of Man, even the earth below.
Explain what Alice was.
You know, so when we look at it and realize the nucleus itself, all that other shit becomes obsolete.
One way I draw that up is once you know, when we go outside, there's always a bunch of unknowns. But what's going to make it even worse if you're unknown to your what? Self. But if you know yourself, you should be able to go in certain situations and come out right in exact, in one piece with a peace of mind. Because there's no confusion. So you might have to go through those trials and tribulations, hills and mountains. But once you know yourself, you know that, look, I have the inherent power and the capability and the potential to get out of this and learn from it and become a better individual. Take it from knowledge to born, and it started going back to knowledge.
You must do your own research, as I did.
If Mecca did this.